All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite warlock practicing necromancer. And tonight I want to bring something to you that not many people discuss, especially those of practitioners. What is resonance and why is it something that's important? Think of it as being in resonance with a current. What is it about a specific current that you, as the practitioner, relate to? Okay. When you start studying that particular current, that particular path, when you start researching the history of it, the deities or the spirits associated with that particular current, you are identifying its uniqueness. More so when you start working with a particular spirit or entity, you start learning its aura, its energy, and you start connecting to it, which is another form of resonance. Okay. In modern mundane terminology, have you ever just connected to someone? Have you ever connected with somebody and you just hit it off? Think of your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, you know, maybe even a loyal friend, you know, that's being in resonance, being in harmony with that individual. Now, think of that same uniqueness working with a particular religious or philosophical content, like, say, the Clavicle of Solomon, Goetic spirits, working with Grimoire traditions, or that of, say, Voodoo, or the Caribbean traditions, shamanism, druidism, paganism, Wicca, in more modern terms. Either way, you are connecting and identifying yourself as in harmony with that particular current. You are identifying yourself with the spirits that you work with. Okay. But depending on the pantheon that you work with, there's a lot of different pantheons out there. That is being in harmony. That is being in resonance with that particular current. Now, I was having a conversation with a woman earlier today, and this mostly it was throughout the day. She contacted me on Facebook Messenger, wanted to chat, and this is an example of what I mean when I say not being in resonance. Okay, not being in harmony, not hitting it off, not connecting with that person. Okay, or that entity, that religious stature. In this case, we're talking about a person. So this individual contacts me, says hi. I said, "Hey, hello. What's going on going on your mind? What's on your mind?" And we had a little bit of a conversation, and throughout the day, and then tonight, she sits there and she says, "Do you want to buy my content?" And I'm like, "Why would I want to buy your content? I don't care too much about that type of thing. I'd rather just be around you. Like, say, you want to go out and get coffee. Do you want to, maybe some, if you don't like coffee, there's always tea, you know, maybe even milk, you know, but unless you're into the whole bar scene and then, you can go there and get alcohol, but still, you see the point there. Well, this individual then turned around and tried to make it about a relationship. And it was like, okay, first, you want me to buy your content. Then you want to have a relationship. And now you want me to give you money so that you can go out and buy cat food and cat litter. Okay. But as soon as I said I'm not interested in you in that way, all of a sudden this individual has a boyfriend and a child on the way. Okay. Basically, this is not being in harmony. This is called fuck games. Okay. So in this case, the individual says, okay, bye, and blocks and runs. Why? Because at this point they realized this is not being given and will not be given. Okay. So that is being out of residence. Sadly, to put it frankly, most modern day females today want what a man can give them without giving anything in return. That's the sad logic of today's social standards. Hence why we refer to them as Generation Z. Okay. And it's more like EZ, if you will, Generation Easy. Because they don't want to work for anything. They don't want to be a part of anything. They just want everything given to them on a golden platter, like a spoiled little rich kid. So if you take that same persona, that same mentality, and you apply it to working with a spirit or any given philosophy, you're not going to get very far because you will be out of residence at that point. You're not connecting to it. There's nothing that you relate to in that particular philosophy, that particular religion, or working with a spirit entity or spirit. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're working in ancestral lineages, say it like Haitian voodoo, for an example, is one of the greatest philosophies out there, and it's quite potent, and I can even back that up and tell you that firsthand, being a practitioner. I'm not a full blown practitioner, but I have practiced it. And my own experiments and my own spirituality of working with Papa Gedi is quite potent, I might add. It's like working with Simbi or Kefu, even Baron Samedi, depending if you're working with the Rada, the Petro, or the Radi family of Loa. Even if you're working with the ancestral magics such as Santeria or Pelo Mayambi, you're going to be working with the Orisha, okay, or the Exu, depending if you're into Quimbanda, okay, or Lukami, okay. So either way you look at it, you want to get into the identifying markers. Why are you getting into that particular philosophy? Why are you? What is it about that philosophy, that religion, that interests you and intrigues you? Okay, you can't just sit there and go, "Hey, I want to work with you." Why? Because I want wealth, fame, and fortune. No, it don't work like that. You have to forge a strong foundation. That means you have to put the work and you have to study the practice, the methods, the tools, the different remedies like powders, elixirs, different evocation or invocational practices of conjuration or rejuvenation type practices if you're into necromancy. You gotta actually put the time and work into that particular field of practice. And that comes with actually calling forth the spirit that you want to connect with. Okay, you have to forge that relationship. It's that give and take. One of the greatest things about working with demons, for an example, is the fact that these beings are already about power. They've already become well established. They have nothing to prove to us here on the mortal coil. They've been here, they've done that shit. Okay. So for them to come down and work with you, that means they have to step off their throne, abandon their throne for a short time, just to come down and talk to you. Now, do you think that playing games, being a dabbler, thinking it all about the wrong things is respectful to these spirits who should you should already respect, pay homage to? You want to earn their respect. You want to earn the right to be in their circle. For them to come to you is an honor and a privilege. Therefore, you have to be committed. You have to be dedicated, complete fealty to that particular path working and that study. For you not to be in harmony with it, it's not worth putting it in, especially if you think it's about part time or whenever you need them. And sadly, I see this all over social media where people think it's a game, where they think that it's about having that little filters that show that you have demon eyes or reptilian eyes, putting little horns on your head with what do they refer to that as, emoji. Okay, this is all fun and games, yes, but don't you think you want to be serious when you approach these beings? Get down on one knee and give them the respect and honor of their titles. Say, hey, I want to work with you. I want to identify and learn how to identify your essence when you come to me so that I know it's you. Because I can tell you that working with Belial is a lot different than working with Lucifer. Two different energies, two different demeanors. Working with Simbi is a lot different from working with Keflu, two of the Petro spirits in Haitian Voodoo. Working with Chango is a lot different from working with Oya. Working with Santa Morte is a lot different than working with, say, Astriel or Abaddon. A lot different. There's a whole different current. They're all different currents. And you want to be in harmony with them. You want to be in resonance with these spirits and earn their trust, earn their respect, earn the right to have them teach you as their apprentice. And a lot of people don't get that. I get a lot of people on social media want to hook up. They want to be a part of something. And I get that. I get that. And I understand that you want to have friends, that you want to have that special someone in your life. But there's also an old saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Okay? This takes sacrifice, it takes commitment and dedication. It's a lifestyle. It is not a sometime thing, it is not a part time thing. This is who you are. And when you make it a lifestyle, when you make it a life choice to work with a certain group of spirits or a particular pantheon of religious or philosophical status, that takes priority. And a lot of times, you're going to be putting what they want you to do ahead of what you want to do. But if you make a pact with one of these spirits, then you want to make sure that it's something that both you and that spirit can work happily towards together. It's that give and take. Okay? Do not mistake doing a pact with a spirit with working with a spirit and identifying its essence, its current, if you will, its resonance. Okay? Two different things. A pact is where you make a particular oath to work with a spirit for a common goal. The spirit may be trying to work something in this world, and if that's true, then guess what? Maybe, just maybe, you might want to do a pact and work together. Say, hey, if you open these doors, I'll help you with this. Okay? What can I do to help you in return for you opening these doors for me? You see what I mean? That's a whole different thing than going into your temple, putting a sigillium down, utilizing a black mirror, a black obsidian scrying mirror, lighting your incense and your candles, and evoking a spirit to come forth and trying to identify if it's that particular spirit each time you summon it. Eventually, you're going to sit there and go, huh, hey, what's going on? Thanks for coming back. It's an honor. It's a privilege. You see what I mean? That's a whole different thing because you've learned to identify the color of the aura. You've learned to hone your senses to pick up the resonance of that particular spirit. That's a lot different than making a pact and working towards a common goal for you in that spirit. Now, working with a pantheon, such as, let's say, for an example, Satanism. A lot of people want to call themselves Satanists and evil and all that stuff, but they lack the true understanding of what Satanism is to begin with. And most people go to Anton Szandor LaVey's work and they don't realize that there were satanic groups long before he even came on the scene. Long before. Daryl Sloan was one of them. The Hellfire Club was another. The ONA, the Order of the Nine Angles, was another, long before. And there were several more. So don't get into that mind frame of saying, hey, this particular group was the first. Really? No, they weren't. Henceforth, why I said you got to do your homework to learn to identify why that particular current interests you. Why do you resonate with that particular current? And once you've established why, you identify with that particular current. Then you can start establishing your resonance with a particular spirit of that current. Because at that point, it's going to be, well, this is what I'm into. Let's work with this spirit, okay? Or this group of spirits. For an example, as a necromancer, if I'm going to work with demons, I would work with the goetic spirits, okay? But not just any goetic spirit. I would work with Seer. I would work with Murmur, Bifron, because these three spirits alone can teach you different aspects of necromancy and spiritual conjurations and workings. Wow. Okay. Knowing this, okay, as a necromancer on the path of lichdom, working to establish myself as a lich, on the path to becoming an archlich, because that's my goal. Okay. And so, okay, I'm going to work with Bifron, Murmur, and Seer. Seer is more mediumship, whereas Bifron works with different types of communication with spirits. Murmur teaches you how to identify and contact them. Okay, so right there you see the establishment of identifying markers working with a particular spirit. Okay, demonolatry, become a demonolator. Okay, as Connolly Research, and several others that are established in the communities as practicing demonolators. Or if you want to just be a Satanist and work with demons, then that's okay too. but identify the current before the spirit. This sets you up with a strong foundation. You're not going to sit there and build a skyscraper on a foundation for a house, right? So you want to build a foundation fitting for a skyscraper. It would be like trying to put in for stocks and bonds. Understanding the financial IQ and always adapting it to fit your needs in the changing uh, currents, okay, of the markets. For an example, you'd want to understand your goal of where you want to be. You want to understand, this is my goal, this is my path, these are the spirits I want to work with. Okay, so to do this, in offering and sacrifices such as financial giveaways. Let's say, for an example, you are in a job like, say, fast food, for an example, where you get tips, like, say, working for Dunkin' Donuts, or say, for an example, Tim Hortons, maybe a coffee shop, you know, something similar to that, where you don't just get a paycheck weekly, but you end up with tips as well. DoorDash, you get tips. Okay, so you can take those tips and you put them on the altar and say, hey, I want to thank you for working with me, choosing me as your apprentice, teaching me, your knowledge, your wisdom about the practices and the arts. I offer this as my sacrifice to you. It would be like doing hemomancy, practices blood sorcery. Same exact thing. It is a sacrifice, it is an offering. You're sacrificing your blood, 3 drops of your blood, in exchange for their service and their knowledge. Okay? Same exact thing. So you see where you're building this up as you go. So you start off with the foundation, you go with the first floor, second floor, or say parking garage, first floor, second floor, third floor, and you're building that skyscraper as you go along. That is how you build residence with a current and with spirits. It's not just with how you with people that you deal with on a day-to-day life. Okay? It's not just like that. Yeah, you can harmonize with certain people. For an example, I know an officer that he writes books. Amazing man. He actually gave me one of his books, and I've read it, and it is spectacular as a fictional writing. Okay, and I've given him some pointers from an occultist perspective. So every morning that I'm there and he shows up at my place of employment, we talk for a couple of minutes, just kind of catch up. He'll ask questions if he has any, and I'll answer them, and it's awesome, just forming that relationship, that bond, you know, and then, you get customers that you can bullshit with. You learn to identify who you can bullshit with and who you can't. Like, for example, we got this one woman. It doesn't matter how many jokes you make. It doesn't matter if you make a wisecrack or not. She's so serious. She's so serious. She just wants that fucking drink, and it's like, fuck off, because she's so. How should I say this? I believe that the correct terminology would be entitlement. Like, she's better than you. Wow. And then you get that. So you can't bullshit with that person. So it's just, you might as well just give it money, boom, gone. Okay. But then you get those that you can actually, joke with. And one of my first customers every morning, depending on if it's the 2 days a week that he purchases a drink for his wife, you build that bond where you can sit there and bullshit with him, and he'll laugh, you laugh. Sometimes a coworker will get involved, and you all have a good laugh. But even then, you're learning that the person's character, their temperament. You know, just because you're laughing with the individual doesn't mean that this person doesn't have, say, for an example, a mean streak. Okay. For an example, if you make the drink wrong, he'll literally toss it right back in your face. Okay. But let's say, for an example, you're doing this with a spirit. Okay. Let's say, for an example, let's go with Asmodeus. Okay. Asmodai. Very serious, but fun. He can play games. He can be a wisecracker, if you will, but he does have a jealous streak, and he can be quite wrathful. And when it comes to relationships, he can get a little possessive. Okay, but if you're working with, say, King Belial, his is more serious, more dark. You want it to be. He's more in that mind state of, I am a king. You will honor that. Okay. I will give you this, this, and this, and all I ask in return is your loyalty, your dedication, and your commitment. You see the difference. You see the difference right there. But both of these spirits can give you things and to work with things. So you have to identify the residents to identify who you're dealing with, who's actually coming forth, especially when you don't even call them. For an example, I went an entire month and a half, almost 2 months, with fruit flies in my kitchen. I've cleaned that kitchen, I don't know how many times. I cleaned out the pantry, I scrubbed everything down. I even used things like vinegar and Dawn, you know, and then put the saran wrap over it just to try to get rid of them, you know. And they just kept showing up, multiplying and multiplying. You couldn't even walk into the kitchen without hitting an entire swarm of these fruit flies. So after everything has been done and said, there's only one logical outcome. You've used reason and logic to deduce, okay, I've done everything humanly possible, which means it's supernatural. At that state, who's the one being that deals with flies? Who's the one being that deals with insects? Outside of Pazuzu, of course, the king of the harvest, the grasshoppers. We're talking King Beelzebub, okay? Lord Beelzebub, the prince, second in command of the underworld, second only to Lucifer himself, the emperor. And it was interesting because as soon as I acknowledged that, and I drew a sigil, I went in, I lit the candles, and I summoned him and I said, hey, I apologize for the late reply. I didn't realize you were trying to get in contact with me. Here's an offering. I acknowledge you. What are you trying to tell me? All of a sudden, those flies just started disappearing. Within an entire week, all those flies were gone. All those fruit flies were gone. All within a week. And it took about 2 months, almost a month and a half to 2 months before I got to him. But it's that identifying residence that you need to commune with these spirits. They'll either contact you or you reach out to them. Either way, you got to know who you're dealing with. And for that to happen, you have to identify their origin. A demon has a different aura than an angel, and an angel has a different aura than, say, an ancestral spirit. And an ancestral spirit definitely has a different aura and composition than that of a Devi or a Jinn. So So again, you have to identify who you're summoning, who is coming to you trying to pass a message on. The aura, the essence, all plays in. You have to understand who that residence is a good thing. It is like a area code in your phone number. You got the number one, the 800 number, or the 207 or 507, 503, whatever, whatever area code that you're from. And then you have the 4-digit number that goes right to you. It would be like working with the Necromyicon, the Ega Ara Bendor. Okay, the three sigils for that alone. One is the 5-pointed pentagram. That resembles this realm, the realm of the living, Earth. And then you have the second one, which is the portal into the spiritual realm. It's like a area code, if you will. So you got the 4-digit, which is this realm, the 3-digit, which is the realm or the calling card, and then you have the spiritual descendants of who you're calling. Okay, so if you think about it, it is definitely a calling card, flat out, for any particular spirit. Those that dwell in the earth, that dwells in the sky, the travelers, if you will. Either way, it's there, but you have to identify their resonance, their aura, to be able to work with them, earn their trust, build that strong foundation. And only you, as the practitioner, can discern, is this the path for me? Do I want to dedicate my life to this current? And if so, do I want to make it a lifestyle? Okay? I want to study, I want to practice, I want to evolve. I want to become more. Only you can do that. And to do that, what spirits do you relate to? I mean, I know a lot of people, they resonate with Asmodeus or Astaroth, Beelzebub, Belial, the kings. But I had a brother that he was he really liked working with Maggot from the Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage. That was his patron. You know, so you have to understand. Okay, this is my patron or my patroness. Who do they report to? Do they have lieutenants to help me get to them? What do they like for offerings? What do they like for what time of the day or night is best to commune with them? Can I worship them 24/7, day or night? How do I become established with them? Do I make a pact? Do I want to sit there and work with them as an apprentice? Again, you have to understand the pacts. There are four main types of pacts: blood pact, which is done through Mephistopheles. You have the infernal pact, which is done with Lucifer Drafakal. The demonic pact, which is done with any ranked being. And then you have what is known as the dark pact. The dark pact is where you sit there and go, fuck this world. I'm done with this goddamn world. I want to become something more. I want to evolve into something more. And that is when you make it a lifestyle and your every moment of every day, you're working towards that growth, that evolution. It all comes down to that path, that workings. Again, you can only discern that one. I can't. So, with that said, build that strong foundation. Ask the questions. Who are you and what is it about this particular current that attracts you? Why do you want to pursue that? What is your end game? What are your goals? Hmm? Only you can do that. Only you. Somebody like me, we can only show you the door. We cannot walk through it. Only you can. Only you can. We can share the knowledge, the wisdom, but you have to be the one to discern, hmm, do I want to apply this? Do I want to study it? Do I want to practice it? That's up to you. But again, you have to find resonance. Those who keep coming back to this channel, for an example, resonate with the words and the content that I put forth. Those that like cloud chasing go with other more popularized channels. But if you really want to grow and you resonate with knowledge and wisdom, then by all means, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. Keep coming back, and you're going to continue learning new things, learning new materials, different perspectives. You're going to evolve and become more. The reason people leave when you start studying and growing is because they're losing interest in you. They don't resonate with you. Do you know how many people have walked out on my life because they don't resonate with me? My own family left me because they don't resonate with me. And I'm talking my biological family. I'm not talking the woman that raised me or my son or his mother. Yeah, my son's mother and I broke up, but we still hang around each other. We still talk. And we still co-parent. Hell, we got cats and a dog that we share. So, not just a 6-year-old son, but it's there. There's resonance. There's a resonance there. So when you start evolving and you start asking the questions, you start applying yourself to growth, self evolution, self mastery, you start focusing on yourself and your spirituality, the practices that you do, and making it a lifestyle. A lot of these people are just going to fade away because they don't resonate with you. They've lost that resonance. They don't connect with you anymore. This is why when you're on platforms like Facebook, you could have 1.5 or 2.5 followers, K followers. You probably commune with what? 1% max, if that. I can honestly say that I commune with maybe 10 people max. Just maybe 10 people on my Facebook account. You know how many people I talk to on my Odyssey? None. Do you know how many people I talk to on my TikTok account? Maybe 3. Why is that? It's because when you go to better yourself and your practices, you're growing, you're maturing, you're adding to your own arsenal, and everybody else will just fade away because they don't resonate. But have you ever noticed that while you're doing this, the spirits that you work with, those entities that you work with, such as your patroness, those that are above them, suddenly start blessing your life? I found it interesting that in year and a half, the last year and a half, My stocks are up. I'm now a Gold Perks member. I've got teachers and advisors, people coming into my life out of the blue that I don't even know, giving me advice on stocks, how to perform, how to work with cryptocurrencies and different types of markets, giving me advice. And I'm talking successful people, first, class people. And I'm not talking the middle class. I'm talking the rich and famous type people. That's interesting. Okay. And then you have those that are like me in the middle class going through the same thing that I am. And I can tell you that I've got maybe 4 people besides myself in this category that I can relate to and go to and say, hey, what do you suggest on this? And they're there because you resonate with them. You're in harmony with them. And the spirits working with Boone or Viney, for an example. Number one, you're protecting your finances, and you're also working towards finances with these between these two spirits. One's there to protect your assets, and the other one's to help you become richer. Become more stabilized, so that you're able to live comfortably and achieve victory by finding the currency to add to your practice. Okay. I'm not talking just giving offerings. I'm talking about being able to purchase the very items that you need for your rituals and practices. Harmony and resonance go hand in hand. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And you'd be surprised what the spirits do when they open up these doors. I can tell you point blank to have not 2, but 3 highly successful people suddenly just get into my life, wanting, teaching me, educating me on financial IQ, on the markets. Amazing. How to set them up, how to be able to set it up for now, not later. Amazing. When you start focusing on you, these doors are going to open. And that's because you're becoming familiar with the resonance factor. You're becoming harmonized with all aspects. But again, only you can do that. No one else. So I hope this has been educational. I hope it's been enlightening. If you like what I do, feel free to hit that notification button so you don't miss my next videos. Subscribe to the channel if you want to. No one's twisting your arm. And until next time. But remember, always back up what you preach with numerous sources, and always make sure that you are available to the public, because you are responsible for the things that you do and say. All right? Have a good one.